I feel like in today's culture, we're all so quick to record stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I were just realizing we have no photos of us. We do all kinds of awesome stuff. We have all these like really peak moments, but we're just too busy being present to think like, oh, we should document this. And I feel like you're really good at making sure it gets documented.
Sometimes.
Like, you really have like this awesome picture/video journal of like your entire life. Versus I'm going to get to the end of my life and be like, man, I did the coolest stuff I'll never remember.
Take my word. You just had to take my word. It was
You guys,
exactly
I
like
promise
this.
I did cool stuff, yeah.
Well,
Stormy night.
and that's a shame because like even my parents were really good about like their giant VHS camcorder
Yeah. Oh,
recording a lot
man.
of stuff. So we've gone back and watched some of it of like them starting building their house in like 1988 and me just like 1 year old running around wreaking havoc trying to help build this house and like and then going up from there for like Christmases and birthdays and it's very select moments, but it is pretty cool to have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a video of his mom walking polar bear cubs on a leash.
Yeah, there's that. There is definitely that.
It's fascinating though. Like, the human mind, it's flawed. So either we forget things or we start to manipulate memories. Like, oh, I thought it was like this, but like when you record things, it just brings everything back. It brings people together too. I'll have to record more now that you mentioned it. Thanks.
Yeah. I feel like, I wonder if there's like a bell curve of you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think most people have
Wait,
because you
let me take a selfie.
Like, oh, food. Next meal. It's like no one cares about what you ate today.
Well, and you always snap like 5 pictures when one will do. So it's like,
I do that.
And then you end up just deleting all of it because my phone's full. I need to record this next moment.
It's very true. It is very true. I would say that it is a good thing that you are in the moment because sometimes people spend most of their lives trying to capture everything that they forget to enjoy life. And like, I think that's a big motto for me in my life. It's, people like, oh, what do you picture yourself in the next 10 years and this and that? Happy. I mean,
Amen, dude. That's sick.
And like, if you have a mentality like that, it really does not matter where you're at or what you do. You're in the right place at the right time because you're happy. And no matter when your life ends, you look back and you're just like, yeah, that's right, I lived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like we spend way too much time worrying about the time that isn't right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you make a really valid point for like it needs to be a bell curve like there is, and Dylan even being able to just go back because I do have a poor memory. It'd be really clutch.
But you're really in the present. I've never met anyone. I said you're really.
Gotcha. Welcome back.
But no, I've never met anyone quite like you, Gavin. You're definitely, whenever something is going on, you're there, and you're always thinking about people. A lot of times, people are like, "Oh yeah, let's start thinking about the event or thinking about their own problems and stuff." No, you're like, "Hey man, are you okay?" It's like, "What do you mean, am I okay?" Like, you're not looking like yourself. You're acting a little different. You're acting different. And it's like, what? I'm not okay. You make people realize some things. So
yeah,
I appreciate you
just
for that.
create existential crisis wherever I go.
You there? You there? Yes. You look like you're having a midlife crisis. I can help you out with that.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Dylan, you too.
Oh,
No, I'm serious. Like this whole thing. I watch your guys' videos, like everything that you guys have accomplished and that you do. Like I don't want to say thrill seekers. It's just you live life, and you're like, you know what? What's the next adventure? Where's it gonna take us? Because I don't want to be afraid of life, and like by doing that and by doing these amazing feats, bending the rules.
What?
Never.
That you guys, like, you remain kids with an adult mentality. I don't know. You're matured kids,
Yeah.
And it's very important to do that. It is. Like people just that because then you start hating life if you just like the adults who just know how to adult and that's it. They get a routine and that is their life. They don't know how to do anything else. And anytime the routine is like they get fired from their career, because I'm not going to say job, but their career, they're like, what do I do? That's when you get midlife crisis or this and that. Or when they're like, you know what? I don't actually like what I do. Midlife crisis. But you guys are like, we have a crisis every day. Like, am I going to survive through this? Like,
yeah, I think there's something to be said. Like, my entire life's goal is to just become a 6-year-old kid again, playing on a slip and slide off of a roof, right? Like, I look at kids and I truly think we almost devolve as we get older. Like, they have it so figured out. Like, kids are so passionate.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they love. They know what they don't like.
Preach.
They're really, really 100% committed to all of their ideas, right? Like, even if it's a terrible idea, like, no one is committed to even, like, a phone call anymore, right? Like, hey, I just called you. Why didn't you pick up? I just would rather text. Like, oh, you're the worst, right? Like,
I'd rather not.
yeah, right? So, like, I feel like kids experience joy. Joy, to me, is just being passionate about whatever you're doing, right? Like, joy isn't necessarily happy or anything so constricting. It's just, like, you can be joyful even when you're going through rough stuff or even when you're kind of sad. Like, you're living in a place of joy because you're genuinely passionate about what's going on. And kids are such a good example of that. Like, your son was just like, yeah, why wouldn't I go down the slide? Like, adults, we don't have that. And some of that's good, right? Like, you have to learn how to, like, keep yourself alive. But at the same time, I think we invent a lot of rules for ourselves as we get older versus as a kid, we just don't bother.
Right, because it shouldn't be scary to go down a slide or
Yeah.
do the thing that you're afraid of. Whatever
It was perfectly safe, to be honest. It literally was perfectly safe. Like, the only thing stopping me was me, right?
Yeah, perfect example, right? Like, your son's literally half you, and he didn't even blink. And then you're like, you guys, is this good? And we're like, yeah, I just did it. Didn't you see it? And it's like, I know, but this is
But is it
the
good?
dumbest idea. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned passion. I think it is very, very important to pursue your passions and be okay if your passions change. We've been taught that like change is bad, right? You know, whenever like big change happens, more often than not, people are like, "Oh God, what am I gonna do?" They're in their crisis mode, right? They anxiety, worry, they panic. But I know some people who they've gone to school for so long, found out that it's not their major. You know, like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. You know, so they change, and then it was like a real crisis for them. And then later they hit the ground running, found out something that they want to do, but like that shift. You know, but like it should be an easy transition. Like, look, I'm not passionate about that, so let me go. Like, life doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You know, and like you should be more afraid of wasting your life than doing something that you love or enjoy.
Yeah, I think Dylan's the perfect example of that, for sure.
Me. Well, I try to be. I don't know if I would say perfect.
Of going for your passion?
Yeah, of just like...
Okay, just making sure we're giving the right example.
I can't go too far into it, but we just had a conversation specifically where, like, I don't know of another person that would have taken the specific course of action that Dylan did. And he literally just wouldn't stop talking about it. He's like, no, dude, like, I'm not going to live my life doing anything other than what I'm committed to, what I'm passionate about. These are my values. These are my principles. I'm not bending on that. Like, and in a lot of ways, it's almost unreasonable, but it's such a good example of what you're talking about, of just staying passionate despite all the different changes. Just like, if Dylan's not interested, I promise you, he won't be doing it for long.
For very long.
I've watched him, like, he gets genuinely antsy if we're just doing something small for like 30 minutes and he's not into it. He's like, you can literally see his body start getting like jumpy. He's like, I need to go do something else because I cannot be here. I'm not passionate about it.
But yeah, just think about the product that comes out of doing something that you're not passionate about, mediocre, right? You know, even people who are OCD, things need to be perfect, and it's never going to be as perfect as they want or up to the potential because they're just not passionate. They're not going to put their all into that one thing or a couple things or everything, whatever they're passionate about life. Love everything.
Because
Absolutely.
what's the point? Like,
What
if
is
you're not
the point?
If you're not having
Yes.
fun, then I don't see a point of doing it. Honestly, like,
There is something for everyone. So it's kind of like, right, what's the point? This is someone else's calling. Let them have it.
Yeah, if I'm not supposed to be doing it, I'm not going to beat myself up for not doing it. I know someone who constantly sees value in all these different types of careers and passions and skills, and then they look at themselves and they're like, oh, why am I not? It literally came up while we were eating dinner one day. They were like, why am I not doing that? And she points at the TV, and it's Ken Block doing crazy drifts, like 100 miles an hour up and down the banked corner of a speedway. And I was like, because you haven't been racing for 30 years? Like, I don't know what to tell you. And she's like, I should be doing something like that with my life. And I was like, you don't like going fast. You've told me this specifically multiple times. Why are you beating yourself up for not being a world-class drift racer? Like, do something that you're actually excited about and love the fact that you're doing that instead of beating yourself up. You're not doing something that's maybe more perceived as valuable, right? Because a lot of people chase what,
Perception.
like, oh, I'm going to be a pharmacist because I'm going to make a bunch of money, but then you don't care at all about what you're doing, but you're doing something that you think others will perceive as valuable.
They will respect me if
Yeah.
I do this. You know, a lot of people are driven by other people's perception of you. Like, really, and you're like, you are you. Like, the only thing that matters is your perception of yourself. But like, what do you think about yourself? I don't know. There's your problem. There's-
it is definitely easier said than done.
No, it is. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I care about what other people think, but like, it took me a long time to be comfortable in my skin. You know, to where like, I know that people won't approve of everything that I do, but like, do you really care about what they approve because they're not you? Like, you know, some things that we've been taught.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be in their shoes? No. If not, then why listen to what they have to say about you? You know?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for like, you don't have to not care what other people think, right? You still need to like be kind and
Conscientious,
courteous,
yeah.
and there's a lot of just social responsibility in noticing how you come off to other people, how you're affecting other people. Like, you bathe regularly so that when you sit next to someone, they're not like, oh, what the heck, you know? But I think the key is not forgetting, like saying just screw whatever anyone thinks of me doesn't matter. I think it's whatever anyone thinks of me, it doesn't change what I think of me.
There you go. That's a better way said. Thank you. Just swat me.
No, I think about that a lot, for sure. Especially as someone who I see myself as a bit of a show pony. I love seeing
You're
what
a
other
peacock.
people think of
Gotta-
me. Yeah,
gotta let you fly.
Gotta let me fly, Captain. Doesn't make sense. They don't fly. Yeah, I spend time doing things that I know will get certain reactions from people just because I genuinely like the attention, if I'm being honest. But also, even if I didn't get the reaction I was hoping for or something like that, like, it doesn't change how I see myself.
It's very
Or at
important.
least not often. Sometimes it's still.
It's always hard.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending battle, you know. And then there's some people you let in to where like they're your whole world, so their perception of you
Yeah,
is everything.
you can't help it.
You can't.